Imagine falling 22,000 feet from the sky. No parachute, no hope, but somehow, you survive. How? This is the unbelievable story of how one man defied death and lived to tell the tale. It's not every day you hear about someone surviving a fall from 22,000 feet, but during World War II, one gunner did just that. Sergeant Walter Bingham, part of a B-17 crew on a critical bombing run, found himself thrown from the plane in the middle of a fierce dogfight with enemy aircraft. It was supposed to be a death sentence, but the outcome was anything but. This wasn't just luck, there was something else at play, and it might just leave you questioning everything you know about survival against the odds. Let's take a deep dive into how Bingham managed to cheat death in one of the most improbable survival stories ever told. Walter Bingham was not a rookie when it came to combat. As a gunner in the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II, Bingham had been through his fair share of terrifying missions. He knew the risks of flying at high altitudes and the ever-present threat of enemy fire. His job was clear: defend the bomber, take out enemy fighters, and survive long enough to return home. On the fateful day of his fall, Bingham and his crew were sent on a bombing mission deep into enemy territory. The mission was risky, with bombers aiming to hit an enemy supply depot, but everything would change when disaster struck. The B-17 was hit in a way that no one could have anticipated. The plane was severely damaged, and Bingham was catapulted out of the aircraft in the blink of an eye. It happened in a flash. One moment, Bingham was in the midst of defending his plane, and the next, he was falling through the air, having been ejected from the B-17 after it took heavy fire. The plane was in a deadly spiral, heading toward its doom, and there was nothing Bingham could do to stop his descent. No parachute, no backup plan. He was simply falling to the ground from an altitude of 22,000 feet, an almost certain death sentence for anyone in his position. But what happened next was nothing short of miraculous. As Bingham plummeted toward the earth, he felt something strange, an odd sensation that he couldn't quite explain. Something was slowing his fall, and it wasn't just his own shock. Something, or someone, was about to intervene in the most unexpected way. In those final moments of freefall, Sergeant Bingham found himself heading straight for the roof of a building below. But this wasn't just any roof, it was a glass roof. The building, an industrial factory or warehouse, stood at the perfect spot to catch Bingham's descent. What could have been his final moments of life became a bizarre twist of fate. As Bingham's body crashed into the glass roof, it wasn't a soft landing, but it was enough to slow his fall. The glass didn't completely cushion him, but it did break his descent, just enough to save him from the fatal impact of hitting the ground. Experts would later say it was a combination of the angle, air resistance, and sheer chance that prevented him from dying on impact. It was a miracle, but one that didn't feel like it was about to end just yet. After Bingham was rescued, the military and medical officials began to piece together the events that led to his miraculous survival. The plane had been damaged beyond repair, and there was no explanation for how Bingham could have survived such a fall. Military investigators combed through the wreckage, puzzled by how the glass roof could have played a role in his survival. Eyewitnesses who had been in the area when the incident occurred were equally baffled. There was talk of a freak of nature, but the reality was much more complicated. How did Bingham survive when so many others would have perished in the same situation? The theory that the glass roof played a crucial role was proposed, and while some doubted it, the facts couldn't be ignored. Sergeant Bingham had somehow defied the laws of physics and biology, and now the world wanted to know how. When Bingham returned to his unit after recovery, he became a living legend among his fellow soldiers. His story spread quickly, and he was celebrated as a hero, a man who had survived the impossible. His story was more than just a tale of survival. It was a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. In an era where death was all too common in combat, Bingham's survival became a symbol of hope. People began to see it as more than just luck. His ability to endure in such extraordinary circumstances was a testament to his strength, willpower, and sheer grit. His survival story was shared among the troops, becoming a source of inspiration and morale. The question lingered, though, was it sheer luck, or was there something more to it? As with many extraordinary stories, there's a theory for everything. While some people believed Bingham's survival was pure luck, others speculated that his training and mental state played a key role. Could it have been the adrenaline coursing through his veins that helped him survive? Perhaps his experience as a gunner, where split-second decisions were often a matter of life and death, had prepared him mentally for the chaos of freefall. Some suggested that Bingham's body might have automatically adjusted during the fall, reducing the impact of his landing. Whatever the reason, the fact remains: Bingham survived, and it became a point of fascination for historians, aviation experts, and military strategists alike. They studied his case for years, trying to understand how someone could survive something so extreme. Sergeant Walter Bingham's story is not just about survival, it's about defying the impossible. Imagine being ejected from a plane at 22,000 feet, plummeting toward the earth with no parachute, only to survive against all odds. It's a narrative that challenges everything we know about physics, fate, and the limits of human endurance. Whether it was the miraculous intervention of the glass roof, the sheer force of will Bingham possessed, or simply an act of destiny, this incredible tale leaves us questioning the randomness of life itself. What makes this story even more astonishing is that Sergeant Bingham wasn't just lucky to be alive, he became a symbol of hope for countless others. In a time when death was ever present, especially during wartime, his survival ignited a spark of belief in the impossible. Bingham's resilience proved that even in the most harrowing of circumstances, the human spirit can survive, adapt, and triumph. But what does this story truly mean for us today? It's easy to dismiss the extraordinary as pure coincidence or chance, but Bingham's experience tells us something more profound. It reminds us that life is unpredictable, that survival is not always about strength or preparation, but sometimes about being in the right place at the right time, or even about having the right mindset to face the impossible. It's about pushing through the limits of what we think is achievable and daring to believe in the miraculous. Bingham's survival was more than just a story of luck. It was a powerful reminder that we are all capable of withstanding the odds when faced with challenges. As his story lives on, it serves as a source of inspiration to those who believe that their own struggles are too great to overcome. If Walter Bingham could survive a 22,000-foot fall, then maybe, just maybe, we too can face our own battles and rise above them. In the end, Bingham's miraculous survival is a reminder that sometimes the most improbable stories are the ones that change us the most. And, just like his fall, we never know when we might land on something that defies everything we thought we knew about life, fate, and survival.